Yes, a lovely day indeed. Mr. Ed Sack Thomas, thank you so much for opening us up for day 2 of We Give Summit. I'm still reeling from all of those inspiring sessions yesterday, and I'm looking forward to what we have in store today. My name is Ilyasa N. Shabazz with the Philanthropy Together team. We are a global initiative to grow and strengthen the Giving Circle movement. And on behalf of the Summit's organizing team, I'd like to welcome you all to how Giving Circles around the world are quietly shifting power. The Giving Circle movement is global, and today we're going to have the lovely opportunity to be able to hear from leaders all around the world and discuss Global Fund for Community Foundation's recent report. Today's session is sponsored by the Lodestar Foundation and Synergos, and we're so appreciative of their support. Lodestar is invested in building collaboration in this field, and we're so proud to partner with them on We Give Summit. Some housekeeping items: closed captioning is available for this session and can be enabled at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And we also ask that you answer a quick 2-question poll before exiting the meeting. So please be on the lookout for that following the discussion. Lastly, this is a meeting, and so I encourage everyone, please join us by video. Let's see all of your beautiful faces. We are the ones making up this beautiful global movement, so please join us on camera. And with that, I will pass it to Teresai Jangara with the Global Fund for Community Foundations to get us started. Welcome, Teresai.
Thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, depending on where you are. My name is Teresai Jangara. I work for the Global Fund for Community Foundations as a communication specialist, and we are based in South Africa, Johannesburg. And I'm going to be a moderator for this session. Not only am I a moderator, but I'm the author of the paper, Sister, Brother, or Someone Who Cares. And I'm going to be talking a bit about the paper. But I'm also excited that today I'm joined by our partners who are going to be panelists, partners that we have worked with for years as the Global Fund for Community Foundations. So we have Beulah from South Africa, and she works for the organization which goes by the name Community Development Foundation Western Cape. And we also have Rasha from Dahlia Foundation, all the way from Palestine. And we also have Tamash from the Roots and Wings Foundation, all the way from Hungary. So we are really excited to be here to be sharing the work that we have been doing as the Global Fund for Community Foundation, but just a bit about our organization as well. So the Global Fund for Community Foundation, it is a grassroots grants maker that works to support community philanthropy as a strategy for durable development. And why community philanthropy, especially for those who are hearing the word for the first time? We believe that it is the only sustainable way of promoting development in the different communities that we work in. And the role of community philanthropy as a strategy of local asset mobilization. Development aid, yes, it has really much been focused on the organizations in the Global South receiving fund or support from international organizations. Whilst this has brought about a lot of change, significant change in communities, there has been an absence of an appreciation of the local assets, of the richness that is found in communities, which borders from trust as a currency for development, relationships as a currency for development again, and the networks that we find, all those things, they have really not been appreciated. So our approach is to ensure that community philanthropy is promoted in a way that builds local assets. And also, if you look at what is happening around the world, not just in the Global South, the civil society has really been under scrutiny. It has been under, I can sort of say, attack from their governments, whereby those that receive international funding, they are perceived as Western agencies, or that they're pushing an external force agenda. But also, if we look at what happened in the last 2 years, COVID really taught us that locals really respond to local issues, right? And we saw that there were the airspace was closed, boundaries were also closed. So it was really difficult for any international aid to really come and support communities. So by sharing this, I just wanted to sort of highlight the context that we are operating in and the organizations that we are supporting as the Global Fund for Community Foundation, so that we really appreciate the fact that assets at community level, they are really important. Money, yes, but there are things that are really beyond money, which are the intangible assets that I have mentioned. But moving on to the paper that I authored, sister, brother, or someone who cares. I would like to start with a short story. So my mother, when we were growing up, I witnessed that my mother was playing a very, very pivotal role in church. She made enormous contributions towards the development of the church, towards the money, or even her skills that she would contribute. In the community, she belonged to the Mothers Union and the Burial Society that was there, where women came together, put money together, and also made decisions on how that money was going to be used in terms of the development of the community. And at the school that I was learning at, she was involved in the Parent-Teacher Association. She made monetary contributions that really went towards school developmental projects. And in essence, she was a donor. In retrospect, she was a donor, but she was never acknowledged as one. There were no flashing cameras to capture the good work that she was doing and other community members. And there was no media to even write or even talk about it all. Even this platform that we have today, speaking today about giving circles, it was not there at all. But the beauty of it is that she was exercising her power, and she was also using her voice to decide differently and to contribute to the development of her community. So when I was looking at the Giving Circles paper, which I authored and looked at how giving circles are shaped in 9 countries, which include Russia, Palestine, South Africa, Hungary, etc. It was really imperative to note that the generosity of everyday givers, it usually goes unnoticed, but it is playing a very enormous contributions when it comes to the development of communities. And one speaker even said that the moment I put my money, it's not the money that I'm just putting on the table, but it is the voice. And the way the giving circles are shaped and also the strategy and purpose that they serve really showed that in some instances, a very powerful donor can be sitting next to a so-called, not so much of a big donor, a small donor. But when it comes to giving circles, names do not matter. That's why the paper is even called sister, brother, or someone who really cares. And all this really emanates from the fact that giving is something that is enrooted in our communities, where communities or individuals have supported each other in times of happiness or even in times of sorrow. But what also came out strongly in the paper was that giving circles, they are really playing a role in terms of dismantling the power structures that really come about when donor funding or international funding is received. There is a notion where everything is just put in boxes, the specific thematic areas that are also needed, even the bureaucracy in terms of the requirements that are needed for people to receive funding. And in essence, we have seen that through giving circles, communities are able to decide to say, okay, this is the project that we want to support. This is the fund that we want to support. Even the Romanians that are based in Brussels, they also explained how they have managed to remain connected to their own communities through the essence of giving cycles. And also the projects that are sort of underfunded, that no one really wants to talk about, or that are looked in the periphery, they have also managed to get support. So these are the different ways and the different strategies that we have seen through the paper, that giving circles, they are really making a difference in terms of shifting power slowly, quietly, but bringing it closer to the ground, because the whole essence is promoting bottom-up approach where communities are taking lead of their own development. I'll just take a break for now and invite my colleague Rasha, who also contributed to the paper all the way from Palestine, to just share some reflections on how they have really used giving circles as a strategy of really criticizing the bottom-up approach. Over to you, Rasha.
Thank you, Tarisai. Thanks everyone for joining. And yeah, Teresa summed it up beautifully. Really, giving circles is about shifting power. It's something that when you attend an event, you really feel the power shifting because it's really in the hands of the people. As Teresa also mentioned, Palestine is one of those countries that has been receiving a lot of aid, especially after the signing of the Oslo Accords. So decades of external aid has reoriented the Palestinian priorities to suit these global development agenda. And some of the, as Teresa also mentioned, they don't take into consideration the local needs of the people. So people have become also dependent on this aid. They have lost their autonomy. They have lost their sense of agency. So they have become like used to waiting for a large grant that doesn't really necessarily target their needs. So Dahlia, the founders of Dahlia Association, they saw that this dependency is in this agency from people. It's making the status quo of the Palestinian occupation even worse. They are unable to control their resources. So they decided to establish a community foundation. And after many years of trial and error and so many programs, we came across the model of giving circles, and we thought that it's a practical example to practice community philanthropy. And we have our giving circle, we branded it as the social change auction, because really what we're doing is like an auction for creating social change. People pitch initiatives, and then the participants support and give money directly through live crowdfunding. So this for us is a way to revive something that is inherent in the Palestinian indigenous aid system. It's called al-Aune, because this international aid has undermined this Aune because of decades of this dependency. People forgot what it means to have solidarity or to come together. So this giving circle, the social change auction, is a reminder. I could give an example of a person once at an event. They came to me after the event and they told me that it feels good to be the donor for a change, because we have become so used to, receiving these large packages of aid. Just giving a simple, let's say, dollar, the value of $1 at the local currency, made them feel ownership towards the act of giving and supporting local initiatives. And it's really important to know that the social change auction supports initiatives that are not able to get funding. So in Palestine, in order to get funding, there are so many criteria. As Teresa mentioned, you have to be registered. So there are many grassroots initiatives that aren't able to get funding and are having difficulty to do their work. So the social change auction is a platform for them. And just as an example, we were able, through one of the social change auctions, to make the first Palestinian telescope. So this is how much you can actually create a change. And we also supported mobile cinemas in refugee camps in Gaza. So many beautiful examples that people come together and support.
Thank you so much, Rasha, for sharing those perfect examples. But I recall in the paper that we spoke about a community near but so far. Can you just touch a bit about how communities in Palestine have been sort of broken down or separated, and how you have managed to use the social change auction to sort of bridge that together?
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. I'm not sure if everyone knows about Palestine, but Palestinians are segregated into many communities. And the settlements that are in the West Bank, they are expanding. So more and more segregation is happening within the West Bank also. So it's not like blocks, it's like rooted. So you have like these cantons of like little islands of villages, towns, So it's very difficult, and it's separated between checkpoints and the wall. And of course, Gaza by itself is completely separated and under blockade. And there are Palestinians who live in 1948 occupied territories. So it was really important through such an event to bring together all of these Palestinians. It's like we're breaking the borders. So each year, so far, because Dali Association is a community foundation, so they in order to choose the initiatives to participate in the social change auction, we have a committee from the community who choose the initiatives to participate. And each time they have chosen one initiative from Gaza and one initiative from Jerusalem or the West Bank or 1948 Palestine. So it was intentional because they want to create and bridge this sense of community. So when people actually attend the event, they are attending to support Palestine in general, not just the idea of geopolitical Palestine or what has been imposed on us as borders. So even the initiatives from Gaza, they participate via video conference. It was something new when we first did it, because Zoom back then was not something popular. We invited them through Skype, and it was really impressive. You created this connection between Palestinians in the event in West Bank and Palestinians in Gaza, pitching to the audience and giving money. So we created this bridge, and it's very important because it's unfortunate that we cannot see each other. It's probably easier to go to the moon than go to Gaza. So I don't know. That's one.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rasha, for those insights and really taking us through what is really happening in Palestine in terms of the building of giving circles. But I think let's take a flight to Hungary. I don't know how long that will be, but let's hear from Tamas. I know that the political situation in Hungary has been quite tense coming out of elections, but also Roots and Wings Foundation. I know you played a pivotal role when you hosted an online giving circle in January, where you sort of raised funds to support free and fair elections, which I think is really very, very important. Are you able to tell us a bit more about this? Over to you, Tamas.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for, it feels a real honor to be here and being part of this panel and talking to such a large audience. Yes, I think it's about 4 hours flight from Palestine. It's a different continent. And those of you who don't have an intimate knowledge of Hungary, we are a small country in the middle of Europe. I'm based in Budapest and work for the Roots and Wings Foundation. Roots and Wings Foundation takes its name from the German poet Goethe, who said that what parents can give to their children most are roots to give them a sense of belonging, and wings to fly free of constraints, free of prejudices. And Roots and Wings Foundation, as a support organization, supporting individuals and NGOs to strengthen communities, this is exactly what we do. We give them a grounding or strengthen their grounding in their context, in their community, and try to give them energy and a way to fly, to know no barriers when it comes to improving their communities. And that's why we have taken on organizing and promoting giving circles in Hungary, because it fits exactly this Roots and Wings concept. And as a way of sort of leading up to the event in January, so I just want to say that that we've been organizing since 2018. Our giving circle follows a model. This is an event-focused, an event-based giving circle, where we invite 3 or 4 social change projects to present their work And we also invite around 100 participants to a room and ask them to come with an open mind, with an open heart, and of course, with an open wallet as well, because we ask them to be able to support one of the projects with at least the price of a meal for two, which is about $30 in Hungary. So we really like this concept, and then we organized it. And then came 2020, the COVID, when we actually learned how to organize these events online. And we really liked the flexibility of it. Then came 2021, the end of it, when the preparations for the general elections became so intense, and most of the country was really concerned about the fact that the elections, the general elections, might be manipulated by authorities. So we felt this pressure, and we decided to do something about it, to organize a giving circle, to raise the importance of this event, and to raise funds for organizations who were actually working to ensure free and fair elections. Now, the first thing that was different, that we could organize an offline event, but we decided to go for an online because we wanted to reach an audience that was beyond our normal audience. We wanted to reach Hungarians beyond the borders of Hungary. So we had participants from New York, from Norway, I think even from Israel, not quite Palestine, but from Israel. And we also wanted to reach out to people, to other European countries who saw the Hungarian elections in a broader context, in the European context. As you might know, and Tarisa really sort of pointed at it, Hungary experiences a serious backslide in democracy. And many of our friends around Europe felt that if this could be stopped in Hungary, then it would have a positive influence on Europe as well. So we decided online. Prior to the event, we had a 2-week campaign to raise the profile of the event, to raise awareness about the issue itself, and of course to raise funds for the 4 organizations. So the campaign was finished by a fantastic event itself, an online event, where with a fantastic atmosphere, and all together we raised about $35,000, which was quite amazing because until then the most donations we received was about $20,000 or $15,000 to $20,000. So that was really amazing financial result for us. But actually, as you all know, Giving Circle is not just about money. That's a lot more about than just money. And if I have time, Tarisa, I would like to go into these non-financial gains. Can I? Can I?
Thomas, just allow us maybe to cross, maybe in 2 minutes, 2 minutes, okay. Just try to summarize in 2 minutes.
Yes, so one of the things that we learned, that organizations we asked to present, who were working on these democracy issues, they were really surprised that the Giving Circle method is a good model to raise funds for serious issues. Until then, they really thought it was just good for raising money for children camps or animal shelters. They actually, 2 of them said, no, we don't want to participate because this is not for us. Then we convinced them and saw the seriousness of preparations, and they started believing in, and they really, really were surprised that so much money was raised. The other thing that organizations experienced was that they felt supported. They felt supported. Hungary is really a state where the government attacks NGOs, where regular smear campaigns against NGOs are kind of normal. So after the event, they said it was so great to feel supported, to feel that the audience respected their work. They looked up to their bravery. So they said, you know, this was a lot.
I think Tamashi is frozen or is facing internet challenges. But I think the story that is being shared by Tamashi is very important. The Hungary story for me and for us as the Global Foundation is very powerful because it's about offering a democratic space for collective decision-making against a broader backdrop of democratic backsliding, which I think is important because we have seen that during election times in different countries, each time when there are externals funding or supporting a certain political party, then it becomes a whole issue. It can even lead to violence, etc. But the level of democratization that we are seeing in Hungary, funding elections, for me, that's just powerful. And the reference that you was now making that in Hungary, the civil society is really under attack is also an example that we got in the paper during the discussion where an organization in Russia was also citing the same, that they have used their giving circles to ensure that they bridge the gap between the government, the civil society, and the citizens, so that the lines of trust are being built, the ones that we say that trust is really an important currency for development. Yeah, I'll come back to you, Tamash, at some point. So that
I'm sorry, I think, yeah.
Yeah,
I think that was a reminder to finish. So can I just finish that sentence that, you know, what the audience said, that what they experienced was that they could contribute to an important event that was of national importance through a relatively easy event, you know, so they could use this easy event, this campaign, to contribute something big, something that was very important to them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tamash, for sharing those important insights. And I was just exclaiming, like, this is big. Elections being funded through a giving circle is very important, and it just opens up to the democratic space in the process as well. So I'll quickly run or turn over to Beulah, all the way from South Africa, where in the paper, she cited that in the communities where she's coming from, communities are controlled by gangs. Communities are also controlled by drug lords. Communities are also controlled by politicians. How much control can one experience in a lifetime? Because we are not even looking at what is happening within a household. This is just outside. So Beulah, may you just share or expand a bit of that so that we really understand how you have used giving circles as a strategy for sort of dismantling these controls and other issues.
Thank you, Teresa, for the introduction, and greetings from Cape Town. And thank you for having me on this platform of mutual learning and sharing. It is indeed a privilege and an honor. And let I also express my sincere appreciation to the We Give Summit organizers and sponsors for an opportunity of note. Let I just briefly give you the context and allow me to say the following. Up to now, 2 months ago, I was the director of the Community Development Foundation Western Cape. Now I serve in a more consultative and mentoring role. The foundation is based in Cape Town, South Africa, and its outreach in terms of building and strengthening grassroots communities is primarily focused on strengthening local groups, other than one of the more obvious roles of a community foundation, and that is community ground making, our work is more about agency, elevating voice and giving voice. And it's also about shifting the balance of power from the bottom up. Our work takes us to communities living on the fringes of society. And in Cape Town, the foundation works in metros, township communities, and informal housing settlements. These communities are highly contested in terms of vulnerabilities and social challenges. Millions are trapped living on the margins where high unemployment, poor service delivery, and deeply rooted poverty-related inequalities have become the norm. And also South Africa is a very youthful population, and sadly unemployment is veering our young people to gangsterism and the drug trade. And this of course has a ripple effect on family, and where the fabric of family and family life either has become thinner or totally disintegrated. However, let us say this loud and clear, it is not all doom and gloom here. It's a beautiful country, a beautiful city, and we live here and we experience hope in abundance. And I cannot express this. And the foundation's experiences during the pandemic can attest to this. How and at what speed grassroots communities, despite the odds, could mobilize resources and show solidarity and support that left many of us standing in awe. We were once again reminded of the importance of hands-on and unconventional giving. Grassroots communities not only have authentic knowledge of their respective communities and neighborhoods, but they also have the edge on doable and meaningful solutions, especially during trying times. So why giving circles as a strategy for building voice, agency, and shifting power? To stay relevant, the Community Development Foundation needed to innovate. And thus our focus was and still is on the big R's, to reflect, to refocus, and to reimagine. So working and living in highly contested communities where many controlling mechanisms are at play that could not only take the power away from you, but also strip you from your dignity. That is controlled by the gangs, like Teresa was saying, or the gang lords, controlled by the drug lords, controlled by political parties, not to mention what's happening with family and within family dynamics. A reflective process has put the spotlight on how challenging circumstances can become a resource and an asset. And it was against this backdrop that the Community Development Foundation looked at giving circles as a strategy. Because community members living in highly contested communities have seen and experienced the play out of power dynamics at various levels, we realized, the foundation, that the autonomous nature of giving circles could give an element of power back to communities. We realized that the giving circle, notion or idea or tool, for its flexibility, its easy flow, and the offer of autonomy, provided that safe space for mobility and power sharing from the bottom up. Through these circles of inner connectivity, intense listening, very important, intense listening and mutual trust, community members in the giving circle have the ability and the intent to move to a point where challenges and concerns from the individual to the collective are being converted into action plans of intent for the group or the sum of the whole. So in reflecting on how ordinary people were getting involved in what matters most to them, and by doing so in a flexible, informal, and a fun way, having coffee, chat, hug, just sharing, we witness and experience a refocus from challenging circumstances, needs, and even money, to a stronger emphasis on community assets. The authentic knowledge locals have of the community, whether it is as a donor or just knowing what is happening within that community, was a very good starting point for us to look at giving circles. It is about agency, not in terms of money or a cap in the hand approach for help, but rather the intangibles of hope, that I have hope, solidarity, that we do care, trust, and trust relationships that matter most. The intangibles, not money. So in playing a supportive and guiding role, the foundation saw and recognized giving at local level in all its currencies, and how this level of horizontal giving, whether it is time or whatever you have, you come to the group, whatever you have, can unlock vertical giving. So time, solidarity, care are good starting points, and not necessarily a checkbook first and the rest to follow. And I say this because there was an assumption made when we thought about giving circles and had a discussion that giving circle is about money. You must come with something and not with an intangible that, you know, I have hope, I have passion, I have resilience, I have other things than money. So when the foundation was presented an opportunity to make a seed grants to communities, we reimagined a pathway towards the establishment of community funds. So what did we do? Because we witnessed a deeper level of community ownership and buy-in, we saw that the giving circle strategy could become the pathway through which we could test the potential and the promise of a community fund as a localized resource mobilization strategy that would not only buttress the culture of local giving, but also deepen the power horizontally of and by community. For the foundation and its partners, a giving circle is about plowing back. It is about harnessing within country diaspora, and in doing so, marshalling local philanthropy in whichever way and in whichever currency, and with the power in the hands of grassroots communities. So in exploring the giving circles as a tool to enhance local giving by local grassroots communities, it was indeed a very inspirational experience. And we could see or witness a bouquet of potentialities that came up through this process that we took by creating pathways towards a community fund. We saw that a giving circle enhances local giving and participatory grant making. So it gets us back to where we can make grants, but it's participatory. That a giving circle heightens value-added dimensions beyond financials. And here I'm talking about the visibility, giving voice, that the power is within the group, because they were so tired of being controlled externally by others, that the power is now within them to make decisions. Appreciation for just to be together. Solidarity. I mean, solidarity becomes the big word during the pandemic. Building trust and instilling hope. So those intangibles, we say that a giving circle, that hope is a verb, and we could see it through the giving circle. relationships and connections are being strengthened, and especially in the communities so highly contested. The Giving Circle also now serves as a mapping strategy, mapping of resources, of gifting, and this in turn give us as the foundation, the potential, and also the community partners for incentives, for matching grants, and for bartering. I must stress that the Giving Circle instills hope in itself, in me, and when I sit in that group, and others, and that meaningful changes is possible because it's within us. It shifts the balance of power, and with intent, there's an intent that addresses ownership, solidarity, and mobility. And it brings just a level of agility and a level of nimbleness to the flow of things, while everything outside the circle in our communities is so highly contested. It's just a flow of things because the power we brought in. Giving Circle is the space for conversations on matters of concern. And it also allows our communities to celebrate the achievements that they have. So why does it matter in closing that the Giving circles have demystified philanthropy for me and for us. And the typical definition assigns to that of a philanthropist. And I think you, Teresa, said it in your introduction. We are all equals in that space in the circle. We come with different views and aspirations, but the sum of the whole glues the group together. And by participating in the Giving Circle, the individual members become more thoughtful, focused, and strategic about their giving, because giving is specific and in the context of the felt needs of that particular community at that time. And they want to see and experience that impact. And it's also personal in closing, because, you know, as in the Giving Circle, they know why the money, for what the funds will be going to, and it's closer to the heart and it close, so to speak. So that for me is why we could see that the Giving Circle strategy can, I mean, it doesn't break down the controls outside, but it just strengthens the voice from within, and it allows that mobility. And I will stop here, and if there's any questions, we can take it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Beulah, for all those insights. You know, I felt like I was watching a movie with the way that you were explaining in terms of the strategy of how the Giving Circles look like in South Africa, Cape Town specifically. I will turn over to the participants if we can have 1 or 2 questions, or if anyone has remarks, if all what we have heard from Palestine, Hungary, South Africa, and from the paper, of course, does anything resonate with you? But I'm just seeing comments. I have seen on the chat that this is a very beautiful and powerful set of speakers. Thank you so much for those compliments. As we wait for comments or even questions, I'll just turn over to Tamash to just give your closing remarks. Then I'll go over to Rasha, then finish with Beulah. I think we only have 4 minutes to go. So just in a minute, what's your parting word?
Thank you very much. I mean, it was fantastic to listen to Beulah. I think it was really odd. From my point, I wanted to say what was the experience of the organizer, Roots and Wings as an organizer. We felt very empowered by not asking a big donor or anybody else if we wanted to put an issue into the spotlight and to fund an issue. So we felt empowered that we could actually set the agenda and focus on an issue and raise funds and mobilize resources, because Beulah is right. It's not just money, but other resources for an issue that felt important to us. That was a fantastic feeling, and it was really about giving circles. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tamas. Rasha?
Thank you. I think as my final remark is, if everyone wants to try this giving circle or are thinking about it, you should go for it. It's something that really, I mean, you've listened to us speak about it. It's really inspiring, and it's worth your while. And what's amazing about organizing a giving circle is that a lot of the resources can be mobilized, and you will see a lot of people stepping up to offer something. So it's not really about the money, it's about what people can give, even in the event, preparation for the event. So I recommend everyone try giving circles. They are the way to make change.
Thank you very much, Rasha and Beulah.
I just want to say that giving circles is what we have. We don't need to look outside. It is there, and it starts with the basics. And I saw that in the communities that we work. It's not about money. Money comes, it follows the circle. So, you know, and like, as I said, we worked on the intangibles. We worked that we have hope. Resilience, isn't resilience the word that we always so, you know, use? So it is there, and then create pathways, because through the giving circle, we created a pathway to a community fund. And because of the giving circle, we started cooperatives for social entrepreneurship programs, but that giving circle is a pathway too. So start with what you have, don't look anywhere else, look at what in the community and listen to what the community has to say, because all our solutions lie not within us, but from there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Beulah. And I've just seen 2 questions in the chats that I'll just respond to as I wrap up. So the first question is around how are external contributions integrated in the giving circle? So if you look at the paper, Sister Brother, there's a whole section that responds to that, but the emphasis has been, if any external funding or support is to be considered, then there is supposed to be humility all around. It's needed so that giving circles, they are not disrupted in any way. They still maintain their natural state. So yeah, matching funds, yes, just to encourage a community to give more, but without altering the purpose of the giving circle. Then the last question is around, how do you deal with competition inherent in pitching at the event? So the beauty about this, it's also in the paper, but what I heard mostly is that when projects are selected, it doesn't mean that the rest of the projects or the other pitches or ideas are discarded. There is at a point where organizations still go back to those organizations and even try to fund more. So ideas are not discarded, they are really promoted. Thank you so much to our brilliant speakers and our participants who have joined us this morning, this afternoon, this evening. I'm sure you have really enjoyed hearing about how we are breaking control mechanisms in South Africa, how we are promoting free and fair elections in Hungary, and also how we are breaking boundaries in Palestine. Thank you so much. I encourage you to read our paper if you have not read, Sister, Brother, or someone who cares, because that's what you are. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Teresai, Rasha, Tomas, Beulah. Thank you all so much. I'm so moved by what was shared today, and we really appreciate you sharing your experiences with us. As Beulah just said so beautifully, in a giving circle, we come with different views, aspirations, but the sum of the whole glues the group together. That was so beautifully said, and that's just like our movement, this global movement. And so no matter where you are in the world, thanks to the work you're doing, we're making this world a better place. If you have more questions, please head over to Whova. We can keep the engagement going and continue this conversation. Before we wrap up, please take a few moments to answer our 2-question poll that just launched and share feedback on this session. Day 2 of We Give Summit is just getting started, and we have so many rich learning sessions that'll be happening throughout the day. We also have our live cooking demonstration and speed networking, so please keep joining us. At the top of the hour at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, Layla Tamari will lead a discussion on how place-based giving circles can support racial justice. So please be sure to join us for that session. And we'll see you. Thank you.